All right, we'll call to order the Board of Directors meeting for Thursday, May 1st, 2025 for Whatcom Transportation Authority. Let's start with roll call, please.
Yes, Donovan.
Here, if that was Donovan.
Thank you. Hawkinson.
Here.
Fortice.
Here.
Lautenbach.
Here.
Lilyquist.
Here.
Stewart.
Here.
Williams.
Here. Present.
Board members Lund and Sadhu are absent. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Item C, citizen communications. Each speaker is allowed a maximum of 3 minutes. Is there anyone online that would like to unmute and speak to the board? Please do so now. And anyone in person?
I can speak?
Yes. It is.
Yes, Chris, are you going to say something? Chris Roselli, Western Washington University.
Like come up here so that.
Oh. Okay, do I just hold it?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay. Western, it's good to see you all. I just wanted to say two things. First of all, something board that you already know, you have a really amazing general manager. Les and I have had an opportunity to spend quite a bit of time just having coffee and getting an opportunity to build a better relationship so we can continue to expand our partnerships between Western and WTA. And so for that, Les, thank you very much. Really do appreciate it.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you. And second of all, I did just want to tell a quick story. I grew up in Vancouver, Washington, and where I lived in suburbia Vancouver, the bus never went to where I lived, and actually still doesn't. So for 50 years, the bus doesn't go to where I grew up. And then, the only time I ever rode the bus was when I would go to Ballard to visit my grandma. And she didn't have her license her whole life, actually. And we would get to ride in the middle of the articulated buses, which was always the best part of the bus to sit in. And then I transferred to Gonzaga. And because of my grown-up experience, I always thought that the bus was just for poor people and old people. And when I went to Gonzaga, not once did I actually don't know if Spokane actually has a good bus system. Because my freshman year at Gonzaga was never actually shared with students about the opportunities of riding the bus. It wasn't until I left Gonzaga after 1 year and came to Western, where I learned very quickly that it's a part of the fabric of the institution. And so I learned very quickly that the bus is not just for old people and poor people, but it's also good for young poor people too. Kidding. So it actually is a part of the culture there. And so something I just wanted to say to the board as you are really close to the finish line on the negotiations with the contract with Western is that the contract with Western isn't just the dollar amount. It's the emails from our Dean of Students to our student body about the importance of riding the bus. It is our Vice President of Student Affairs telling all of our students that they should support downtown. And the best way to do that is by taking the bus. It's for our students who have jobs at the mall or at the airport or at the hospital who all rely on the bus. What, 86% or so ride the bus to make sure that the university is able to be the economic powerhouse that it actually is. About $100 million in student spending happens probably a good portion of via the bus. So I just wanted to share that as the board continues to work. And by the way, thank you, Miranda and Audra and Andrea and Shelby and everybody who's working hard on being able to negotiate that. So, and then the other thing I didn't want to say is this is a generations long partnership between Western and WTA. So much part of the fabric, 18 years ago, Western students voted to assess themselves fees because it is important. And ideally, it'd be really great if we can figure out someday to come up with a multi-year contract. That way, those people who are working in these negotiations, we can continue to get back to doing really good work on behalf of our two of the most important organizations in Whatcom County for sure. So thank you. I appreciate the extra time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else in person or online? Not seeing any. All right, next item is executive session. Let's see. The board, what? The board will now meet in executive session for an update on the potential acquisition of real estate as allowed by RCW 42.30.1101B. The board will be in executive session for approximately 15 minutes until 8:36. We're going to start here at 8:21.
Hello, everyone. Just wanted to provide a quick update that our times were off a little bit. So the executive session is going to begin at 8:15 a.m. and we will end and come back to full session at 8:30 a.m.
All right, I call the regular meeting back to order at 8:31. Next up, board action consideration of approval for purchase of 11 paratransit buses.
Yep, that's me. I will be presenting this memo. The subject of this one, consideration of approval for purchase of 11 standard high floor paratransit minibuses from Northwest Bus Sales in Federal Way, Washington, using State of Washington Contract 06719. The recommendation is that the Board of Directors approve the purchase order and 2025 capital budget commitment for 11 standard high floor lift equipped gasoline powered minibuses for a total of 1.95 million, which includes a 5% contingency under Washington State Contract 06719 from Northwest Bus Sales. WTA staff also requests an additional allowance for make-ready labor, post-production inspections, and Buy America auditing for a total project authorization of 2.2 million as authorized in the 2025 capital budget. There's a background section if you'd like me to go through that. Pass the background. All right. So then yes, I am done with that one.
I'll move approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Questions or comments? All those in favor of approval for purchase of 11 paratransit buses, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, that passes. Item E2, consideration of approval to surplus paratransit vehicles.
Can I just move approval?
Yep. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Oh, Josh, you're not muted.
It's a compliment. You did so well on this. They don't need to.
I appreciate that. I will take that.
All right. Sorry, I got distracted. Somebody's not muted here.
I know we're running a little behind schedule anyway.
Josh, can you, where you go? Thank you. Okay, all those in favor to approve surplus paratransit vehicles, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes. Moving right along. E3, consideration of approval to surplus fixed route vehicles.
Move approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
Question.
Yes?
Can you just speak kind of generally to kind of, I don't know what you call it, the flow of units and the retiring of units and the replacement of units is, and I know that we have tried to extend the life of some units. How does this all fit into our predicted flow of new units in and old units out?
Yeah, so I actually put together a fixed route or rolling stock in general procurement forecast spreadsheet. Actually well, 2 Christmases ago and last Christmas actually on the same day, coincidentally enough. This does fall in line with that. The FTA minimum useful life standard is 12 years for all fixed route vehicles, which is what we were previously intending to move towards. In the past, we had extended some vehicles to a 15-year life, and now given the current economy and budget considerations, we are analyzing going forward with moving those lifespans out to 15 years on remaining vehicles in the fleet as well after we get through these.
So does this line up with the 12-year schedule, 15-year schedule, or could it line up with both?
Some of each. So some of these are 2007, some of them are 2009s. Those are all at least 15 years old right now, but we do have some more that are coming out of service as we continue to in-service the electric buses that have not been put into service just yet. Some of those will be a little bit newer, so those will be subject to being right on that borderline between 12 and 15 where they could be extended. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you. It seems like that's the most important thing at the board level, just to kind of understand the rate of passing through, not so much individual buses.
And there will be a board item in the future about do we extend, how do we've just got information from Gillig on price increases due to tariffs and extensions on how long it's going to take to receive them from order date, close to a 2-year delivery time frame, and how does that fit into this John's spreadsheet of rolling things. So there will be more to come on that.
And on that subject, since you mentioned that, Shonda has recently asked me to update that spreadsheet with the new information that Les just mentioned from Gillig recently, given their recent information about their price adjustments and their production timeline schedule.
All right, further discussion or questions? All those in favor of approval to surplus fixed route vehicles, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, that passes. E4, consideration of authorization to enter into contract for janitorial services with Advantage Building Services. Andy.
Yeah, so I want to do a quick introduction. Cindy is going to present this. Cindy Campion is our facilities manager. She does a fantastic job. She oversees all of our buildings, all of our 7. So I just asked her to present, and I want to do a quick introduction before she does.
And a 30-year employee?
A little bit more than that.
Just
a little bit.
Wait a minute. What did he say? 30?
30 plus.
Yeah, I've with WTA for a long time.
I see that.
Okay, so we are seeking court approval to enter into a 2-year contract with Advantage Building Services for janitorial services. And the annual amount proposed is well within our existing budget. And I think that's pretty much it.
And you may recall that Cindy led an effort before that came in really, really high, and you kindly rejected all. And kudos to Cindy and the team and Miranda for redoing the specs, how things would work. Came in with much better bids.
Ally, I move approval.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of entering into contract for janitorial services with Advantage Building Services, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, that passes. E5, consideration of approval for extension of general manager's contract. Vanessa.
Ooh.
All right, it's my pleasure to introduce this item on behalf of Chair Hawkinson. Les has been our general manager since January 2021, and the contract for that term is up at the end of this year. Some of you might recall last year, Ally and I coordinated a opportunity for feedback for board members and also executive leadership team members. And then following that process, Ally indicated that she'd like to move forward with a contract extension. And so I facilitated that process, and the results are just indicated here. This is a high level to show what's changing, but we do have a track changes version of the entire extension document should anybody wish to see that, and we can display if that's necessary. This is a pretty standard employment agreement for a general manager. It's similar to what we've had for previous general managers, with a few details being updated. I can go through as many details as you like. I think I'll skip the section 2. The term would be for January 1, 2026 through December 31, 2029, so a 4-year term. The extension, currently this is set to be reviewed on or before October. So this would just move that up earlier in the year to give everybody time to make plans and considerations. A slight change to the potential severance if there's termination without cause. Of course, the 4 causes all detailed in the employment agreement. The performance evaluation section is, there was an attempt to try to coordinate the annual report with an evaluation, and in reality, it never came through. So we just made it a little more flexible and gave the board chair that discretion on when to conduct that performance evaluation. And then just some additional cleanup regarding computer equipment and details around participation, continuing education classes. So transit related would continue to be covered, whereas non-transit related would. So those are the high level details. I can answer any questions that folks have, but it seemed like after the evaluation period, it was the appropriate time to revisit this concept. And I guess I would invite Chair Hawkinson to say anything further you'd like the board to know.
I would love to not have to find a new general manager. Just kidding. But, you know, after all of the feedback, and thank you for everyone who participated in that survey. It was overwhelmingly positive. I shared a lot of that with Les, and so that was very helpful. I appreciate it. I'm in favor of this, and I hope that you guys will be too.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for approval for extension of general manager's contract. Further discussion? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good news. Congratulations. Yes.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the honor, and I appreciate you all taking a chance on me. It means a lot. Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
We appreciate you sticking around. All right, board action consent agenda.
Approval. Second.
All right, we have a motion and second for consent agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Item G, board reports. Recap of Q1 board workshop.
Just for timing, do you think 5-7 minutes for both those can work? Okay, depending on questions.
All right, well, it was great to have so many of you here for the board game. I think it's now been a couple months ago. And Tim and I want to just provide a quick recap and a quick look ahead at what's to come. There were 5 key themes that we identified, and then maybe we'll give just a minute if you have others. The first one was that successful transit and land use go hand in hand. I think that came out loud and clear. Another one is that maximizing ridership requires both high frequency, which we define as 4+ buses per hour, as well as good land use characteristics. Number 3, service planning is complex. So while we did include walkability and density as our 2 land use characteristics to simplify the game, of course, there are many others, and you all identified some of those on the day. Another key theme that came out was that in a county-wide service like ours, there is always a balance and even sometimes a tension between urban and rural that we will always have to deal with. And then last of all, if you remember the last scenario, you were able to add service, and that is just a lot more fun. So if you don't have service to add, you are taking from one to give to another. And so that to us also felt like a key theme. Any others with the limited time we have? Anyone wants to throw out there? There will be other opportunities. Okay. The board game was part 2 of a 4-part conversation. I'll skip ahead to the 4th part is in July, is when we're actually going to ask the board to reach consensus on what that we want that percentage to be. We would also want to know, should this only impact new service going forward, or is it something that the board would like to consider making changes to our service? And then we'd also want to just talk about priorities. So even if you say we want X% of service to go towards maximizing ridership and the other to go towards broad coverage, you know, what are some of the priorities within that? So the only other thing we need today is to know for that part 3, I skipped that. Board game was part 2, final consensus is part 4. You also have a part 3 in June, which is sometime at our board workshop to advance the conversation to get to the point of consensus. And I think one thing we know that you will want is some time to talk just as a board with us in the background, providing help if you would like. But there also may be some information or data that you're lacking between the board game and the final decision. And we would love to know, maybe not today if it's too less, put you on the spot, but if you could share with us things that would be hopeful for you as you make those considerations. They could email them, yes, and. Mr. Tim.
Yeah, I was just gonna add that one of the things we thought about helping you out with scenarios, like what does it look like to add rapid transit to the system? What does it look like to add on-demand service? You know, those kinds of scenarios, you could see the practical effects of having those allocation decisions. So that's what our guess was, but if there's
Yeah.
something else that you, or a particular scenario want us to prepare for, we could do that as well.
And that's kind of in June, right?
In June, yeah, that we could.
Those things, because we have that board workshop in June, so we have time.
We'll want enough time to prepare that for you. So if you do have something, please give it to us as soon as you can.
And that's June 5th.
That's the board workshop.
That's the
Fifth
board.
board workshop, right.
And what we'll do too, we'll send this information back out to you, so you have it in writing.
Great. Any further discussion? All right. Thank you very much. Item G2, preliminary 2024 financial report. Shonda.
Thank you. So these are our unaudited financial statements for 2024. The state audit started on the 28th, just Monday. And we expect them to be working for 4 weeks and then probably about 4 weeks to accumulate the report. Things are going well so far. They're just kind of taking their time looking at our things. But just, I have 5 key points in interest of time, unless we want to go through the graphs. But we ended 2024 in a really good position. Revenues were pretty much right on target. If you recall, we dropped that sales tax budget forecast down about 4.5, and really right on target. So flat with 2023. Operating expenses are fairly under budget, and we've got a couple of categories we're going to continue to look at. Salaries and wages, we're still trying to fine tune that. And then we had outside services, fuel, and some other categories that we're going to dig into a little bit more. Potential budget amendment and 2026 budgeting. Revenue expense both under budget, and a lot of that had to do with the vehicles that we either received and weren't able to pay for by the end of the year, or the vehicles that hadn't come in by the end of the year. Those are coming in, and we're expecting that we'll pay those bills in 25 and receive the FTA grant. So those are fairly secure now.
That's why we weren't able to pay at the end of the year, is because of the federal grant stuff and acceptance and those things. Yeah. It wasn't that we didn't have the money or anything.
Exactly. We've actually received the reimbursement for 4 of the hybrid buses already this week. Cash reserves, cash and total reserves went down about $4.8 million. And a lot of that was due to the outlay that WTA had to make for some of these vehicles without the reimbursement. That left us with about $53 million starting January of 2025, which is pretty much in the ballpark of what we expected. And what you'll see as we move forward in the August board workshop is kind of what do those revenue expenses look like, and then what does cash look like?
That cash at the end of the year, a lot of that was timing because of the reimbursement on it. Yes.
For the Q1 report, we will have the alligator/zipper graph. We're working on that with Andy. And then we will expand the years in these reports like we had talked about. So we'll do a 10-year report so we can see what does sales tax really do over 10 years. Actually, I guess 6 points. And then sales tax for Q1, we have January to February numbers. January was up about 6.9% over 24. February was down about 4.8%. So we're essentially still flat, but we'll take 2%. We expected February to be down. I expect March to be down also, and then we'll sort of see what happens in the spring. There's a ton of construction. We should be getting some receipts from that. And then the border crossings will be interesting, since when the border was closed for COVID, sales tax still went really well. People aren't coming down for a different reason now, so we'll see what that impact looks like.
One of our smart employees, as we were talking about this with at all employee forums this week, one of them suggested that on February, it's not really apples to apples because last year was leap year. So there was one more day of sales tax in there, which John in there could affect. I mean, it's not a full 4 point, but it
But for context, like a 6.8% over 24 is $188,000. So right, they're not huge swings, but that day. Any questions on the attached pages that we could go through?
We will be spending more time at the board workshop on the 5th, going a little more in depth on these things, and trend lines and those things. But Shonda said she's doing a lot of work on this.
All right, thank you,
And,
Shonda.
One thing, if I could just say one thing on it too, kind of just for sequencing. So the 6th or the June 5th is talked about that, but building towards the August all day workshop on budget. So trying to lay those facts, so much like the service allocation, if there are things that would help you come August as we're planning forward, please let us know on that so that we can sequence that out, get that together. In addition to the things you've already said, zipper graph, those things.
Thank you very much. Any
you.
further discussion on this one? All right, thank you so much, Shonda. Item H, other business?
If I could just real quick, because we have just a couple minutes here, on legislative, I'll send out a written document, legislative update, but we did okay on the legislative side. There was a lot of stress whether we would lose some multimodal funding on account funding on things, but that pretty much all came through. The only reduction statewide was to the van pool reimbursement program, which got cut by 50%. What that means for us, we don't know exactly because how that distributes out. And we did just buy a whole bunch of vans last year, so we may be okay on that. And then the other piece of good news is the state chose to invest in the Linden Station project. They are contributing $500,000 to pre-development costs on that. So that plus what Catholic Community Services has gets us probably $1 million towards start going on work on that, so we can really start turning on that. So overall, pretty good. But I'll send a more detailed thing to you. Oh, and at the next meeting too, Hannah Jones, our state lobbyist that we engaged this year, will come and talk to the board too.
Great, thank you. Any other business? Announcements? Anybody?
Oh, oh my God. Eric's over on the side going like this for, we have our rodeo competition this Sunday. I'm not sure I can get through it now without, I'll never say rodeo again without picturing this. That's our annual driving competition. Super fun, lots of fun, food, family festivities. This week, board cordially invited to come out. Tough competition. Yeah, there's a lot of serious drivers. But it's really neat because the winner paratransit and fixed route gets to go to national or state competition, and then winners of those go to a national competition. So it's pretty fun, and I don't want to jinx weather, but I'm cautiously optimistic. 9 o'clock, 9:30. Oh, yeah.
Invited, right?
Yeah. Board members are all invited. Yeah. About 9:30.
Yeah. About 9:30 to 1:30, 2 o'clock is where it takes place. It's just in our back lot here. Come watch and support our amazing transit operators and mechanics, and we'll even have a couple management staff that haven't driven a bus in a year running over.
Cones, not people.
Great, thank you. Any other announcements? We are adjourned. Thank you so much, everyone.